Yo guys, what's up? Welcome back to another video. So I'm kind of late on the patch notes by 3 hours, so I do apologize on that. However, we're going to cover the update notes, the patch notes, as I said, and the last live stream. So, to save the world from danger, a group of cruel yet deadly dark heroes have come together to form a completely new team. This is going to be about the August update, which was for the Savage Avengers, as we have figured out on the last live stream. We have 3 new uniforms, which are Ghost Rider, Juggernaut, and Dr. Voodoo, and a new character that is Black Knight. The Black Knight has a tier 3, and Juggernaut and Dr. Voodoo have tier 4. They also added a new lobby change and any new improvements, which we'll check out later on. So for the new hero, it is going to be Black Knight. He is a combat superhero male, and he's human as well, as we have figured out from yesterday. His leadership decreases debuff duration by 24%, and his tier 2 passive is to self. However, his passive is to all, which increases 40% of HP, decreases damage received from reflect effect by 50%, and reflects all attack. So if you pair him up with America Chavez, then I think you would have like complete decreased damage received from reflect, so you won't have any effect towards reflect. So this is really good if you want to build him. But unfortunately, he is, as you can see, acquisition location. It is 30 biometrics daily or the premium hero chest. However, there's going to be a new event at the 26th. That's also when we can go ahead and get him. His first skill applies stun, as mentioned yesterday. Second one is stun and fear. The third one is counterattacks when defense against enemy attack and has iframe ignore, which gives fear, incapacitation, and paralysis. And he has 100% chance to grant all damage immunity, accumulates 10% of pure damage, which is maxed out at 100%, and 1% increase all basic attack, each 1% of pure damage accumulated. His fourth decreases all basic defense by 10%, stacks up to 50%, and ignores immunity. And his self is going to be increases all basic attack by 50, basic defense by 50, and speed by 1. His fifth and final skill is fear to enemies, and to self it has recovering HP, invincible, and increases all basic attack and defense by 50%, all speed by 1%, and crit rate by 30% while removing incapacitation. So yeah, that is for the new character. It's nothing like too different, although his support seems to be really good for PvP. Even though they said he's PvE focused, but his support is really good for PvP, especially since it applies to all allies. Unfortunately, his tier 2 passive is not for all allies, which just gives super armor, increases basic defense by 30%, skill damage by 45%, bonus damage by 40%, and decreases damage received by 30%. So that is for the new Black Knight. So I do not see his tier 3 move here, so I guess we're going to need to see it later on. The 3 new uniforms. First one we're starting off with, it is going to be Ghost Rider, who also will be sale on 40%, so he's going to be 1050. He's obviously universal hero, male, and human, so it's the same as this last time. His uniform effect has been changed into increases chain hit damage by 10%, and super armor increases all basic defense by 40%. His passive has been changed, both of them, but his leadership stays. His tier 2 passive, which is now Hell's Wraith, it increases basic damage dealt to super villain by 120%, skill damage by 30%, increases bonus damage by 25%, and decreases basic damage received by 30%. His passive, it is 90% chance to become immune to flame damage, which is nothing really much, but increases flame damage by 30%. So this one is good, except the 90% becoming immune to flame damage is practically nothing really humongous, because the only one that I can think of that has flame damage in PvE, it is Jean, and I think Surtur in Alliance Battle Legend. So now we have his 5 skills in here. We're going to go through each one of them. For the first one, it applies Burn, which deals 30% flame damage. His second one applies Burn, Incapacitation, and Paralysis. So the Burn deals 30% as well. Incapacitation removes active debuff, and Paralysis ignores immunity. His third applies Burn, Snare, and Paralysis. Burn, which is again 30%, snares for 3 seconds, and Paralysis ignores immunity. And applies to self, it increases all basic attack and defense by 30%, speed by 5%, and crit rate by 35%, with removing incapacitation, and 100% chance to grant all damage immunity. Although one thing that I do not understand is increasing all speed by 5% because he's already slow enough, and I have him maxed out at 130, yet he's not fast even with 100%, 130% maxed out. So I do not know what the all speed is really gonna do for him. His fourth, though, is quite interesting. Enables attacking enemies who have activated the ignore targeting. So he has iframe ignore on his fourth, which means he has a possibility to be great in PvP. So the first one applies to enemies, which is Burn, Fear, remove active buff from target, and incapacitation. And the self 100% chance to penetrate with super armor, barrier, shield, all damage immunity, and invincible effect. And then he gets invincible for 6 seconds. And then the following activates when a super villain type enemy, which applies to self, which increases basic damage by 150. So the ignored iframe ignore is going to be really good for PvP. And this 100% chance to penetrate, also very good for PvP. I expected it to be like 70%, but no, they gave him a full 100%. And this one, I'm guessing this one is going to work for characters like against Null, for example, Carnage. So this is going to be really good as well. This fifth and last one, it applies to enemy, Burn, Panic, decreases flame resist, and decreases all basic defense by 5%. This one applies to self, so he does get HP recovery, invincible, and increase all basic attacks by 35%. So, as you can see, Ghost Rider is a huge improvement from the last one, and this time he even got out of the seasonal. So he's going to be guaranteed meta for PvE because he's out of the seasonal. We just need to know how good he's going to be. Is he going to be the same as a seasonal, or is he going to be much better? Moving on to Juggernaut, who is combat hero mutant male. So last time they showed it by accident, but he was a human, but he's apparently mutant. If he was a human and a super villain, then he would have been a very, very good contender for Alliance Battle Extreme and Legends. But the issue is he's been PvP focused, so this is going to be kind of a really bad problem. Regardless, though. So as for his uniform effect, 30% increase of HP, this is to self, decreases damage received from reflect effect by 55%, and reflects all damage attack, increases skill damage by 40%, increases bonus damage by 30%. So for his passive and tier 2 passive, they have been changed. His leadership stays the same. For his tier 2 passive, it recovers 5% HP for 1 second every time he's below 99%. So it's basically like a mini Hulk. The other one is when it's below 40%, he gets a basic attack and defense buff by 60%, speed by 5%, crit rate by 25%, and removes incapacitation. And then he removes all debuff by 4 seconds. His normal passive, which is the 4-star passive, it applies to self, ignores target's dodge rate by 30%, super armor increases all basic defense by 20%, and decreases damage received by 40%. So now moving on to his skills. So for the first one, applies stun. The second one is stun fracture, and then after that he gets invincibility for himself. The third one is silence, but then after that he grants himself a 100% chance to grant all damage immunity, increases all basic attacks by 10% per 1% of pure damage received, accumulates pure damage up to 15% of max HP. Fourth one, which has iframe ignore, Incapacitation paralysis decreases all damage defense by 10%. And as for the self, he recovers 30% of HP. Basically, attacks increase by 50%, defense by 20, and speed by 5. The last one, which is incapacitation paralysis to enemy, and then for himself he gets invincible and then increases basic damage by 50% for 2 attacks. So again, he seems to be a niche PvP, but I'm not 100% sure. However, I can guarantee that Ghost Rider has a really high chance of becoming a PvP meta, hopefully. Moving on to the last uniform that we have, before we move on to the changes and the additions, it is Dr. Voodoo. So he's universal superhero male and human, basically like Ghost Rider, except this time he's PvP. So one thing that I was really disappointed at when I saw the patch notes is, before we get to there, is uniform effect is to universal allies, which is increases basic damage dealt to supervillain by 50% and decreases damage received by 20%. So he's going to be a really good support just for the sake of his uniform effect. If we move on to the leadership, it increases all buffs by 40% and increases all basic attack by 30%, which is really good. However, his tier 2 passive, it is only ignores targets dodge rate by 30%. So I expected him to have a better tier 2 passive for all allies, but no, they just get ignores targets dodge rate by 30%. And for himself, increases skill damage by 50%, bonus damage by 45%, and 90% to become immune to flame damage. His passive, it is going to be enabled with the poison effect. So to enemies, decreases all basic attacks by 30%. And then the other one is also by poison, but this time to himself, which recovers 20% of his HP with a 9-second cooldown. For his first one, it gets, for his first skill, it gets stunned for 2 seconds. Second one, it is poison, snare, and silence. Third one is poison and paralysis. Fourth one is poison, fear, incapacitation, decreases all basic defense by 10%. For his self, he gets invisible and increases all basic attacks and defense by 40%, all speed by 1%, crit rate by 25%, and removes incapacitation. His fifth one, it has a V-pad. So for the enemies, it gets poison, mind control, incapacitation, decreases all basic defense, and stacks up to 50%. And then the last one for self, which is recovers 30% of HP, accumulates 10% of pure damage when attacking, and 0.8 increase all basic attacks, each 1% pure damage accumulation. So he seems to be a good PvP support, though he could have been a really good hybrid support had he had a better passive than this. So yeah, that was for all the new characters. So for Ghost Rider, since we've already seen their rotation, Ghost Rider is going to be a rage character. Juggernaut, if I had to guess, if you're going to use him for PvE for some reason, then he would be a proc. And Dr. Voodoo would also be a proc. So that's going to be my guessing for the new tier 4s. Moving on to their tier 4 striker effects. So for Juggernaut, Power of the Crimson Gen, it applies to self, which increases basic attack by 55 and increases basic damage dealt with enemies 50% or lower by 60%. So basically, this is going to be an insta-kill shot if you're going to use them on characters that have 50% less HP. For Dr. Voodoo, it is going to be all basic attack increased by 70% compared to 55, Curse of Weakening, and increases basic damage dealt to enemies with 50% or lower by 70. So this is just basically a 10% increase. For Black Knight's new tier 3, the one that we said that we'll check out, it is going to be Fear, and then for himself, he's going to be ignores target's dodge rate by 80%, invincible, and all basic attacks by 50%. The sword Roar. And you can check it out right here on this GIF. As you can see, we've already experienced it in the live stream. So for the new Transup potential, it is going to be Daisy Johnson, Mockingbird, and Agent 13. Though I'm not going to check them out because I'm not really too fond about what they do or who they even are. So we're going to move on to the next new feature. First one is a new lobby changer. As you can see, we've already seen it from the last live stream. Each background theme can be purchased with gold, crystals, and other currencies. So this is going to 100% have some sort of paywall. Crystals and other currencies. The other currencies is none other than paywall. I was really excited when I saw that it was by gold, but then after I read that it's crystal and other currencies, I knew that they're going to try to milk this from making it completely like they're going to have some sort of paywall on this. We've got a new artifact. Again, we're not going to check those out. We're just going to check out this one. So Curse of Night, Curse of Ebony Blade, which is for Black Knight, applies when below 50% of HP, ignores basic damage for 5 seconds, increases basic damage by 5% for each instant of damage ignored, up to 25%, an additional 5% of total, 0.5% of total instinct, decreases all damage received by 5%, and then the same 25%, an additional 0.5% total instinct. So the Future Pass, which has been the same ever since the last time that they updated this, which was adding the potential transcendent and a tier 4 ticket. We've got some new icons. I really hope that this one is free, because this one actually really looks really cool, and I might even apply it myself. We've got a new uniform collection, which gives you 180 life seeds. So we've got the new hot deals back again, which is the 100 million gold, the custom gear unequip, and the Uru unequip. And then we've got the loyalty event when purchasing products will be renewed as followed. So this will be changed into here. Since our biometrics, we get tier 2. This one, the same ISO chest into tier 3 materials, tier 3, tier 3. Awakened blessing, which we're changing the 200 biometric selector. The awakened chest into enhanced kit emblems. 300 crystals the same. The tier 3 materials are going to change it to tier 4. Titan Record is changing to the Soul of Faltony, which is the tier 4 material, and the Odin's Blessing chest, it is going to change into SCTP, which is finally what I've been waiting for. Though I would not spend that much, probably, but I was really hoping that the CTP chest would change at the Odin's Blessing chest would change into SCTP. The other improvement is that this one will just allow you to seemingly progress through all of them by checking this one, auto-designated characters. We've got some other changes for the ultimate mode, so this time enemies will not have guaranteed immunity from everyone. It's just going to change by 40%, 40%, 250, 250, and another 40%. As we know, for Timeline Battle, it has been changed, so Advanced Glory will have tier 4, Glory tokens will have tier 3. Character level up, a sorting feature has been added, so although I do not know what's really the difference other than the descending, because we already had ascending. I do not know what's really adding the benefit to descending. Giant boss raid, as we've already described, for the co-op feature, we get a new buff, increases skill damage by 10% for 10 seconds. Timeline and Otherworld Battle have added a speed feature. Epic Quest and Daily clear conditions for specific mission has changed from win to participate in Timeline Battle. Dimension missions get 30 biometrics. X-genes have been added to the character support list, so that's good. And they can be obtained by dimension missions, and there have been increased. Their rates have been increased. So this is really good. I was really waiting for this. Power saving mode. Issue has been fixed so that the battle ended will now appear as battle is if a battle is terminated due to specific circumstances. So that I think we've already had that, so I do not know what's really the difference. Multiverse Saga function that has been added to skip initial event scenes. Emblem collection, a back button has been improved so you can return immediately preceding screens from anywhere within the content. Bonus mission reward magnifying glass button has been added to the check the items list for the reward that are in a selector or a chest. And the final one, which is the main lobby gyroscope feature. A gyroscope has been added to the main lobby screen, allowing the hero to move according to the tilt of your device. I do not know what's the importance of the last one, but hey, it's cooler than nothing. Game fixes, which is the last one, it is just Emma Frost where they fixed her movement, which we've already seen, and they fixed with Story 5.1 where the battle will not progress due to getting stuck on an object. So this was all for today's patch notes. This has been really good. I've had high hopes for this, and they have delivered with Ghost Rider. They've kind of underperformed for Juggernaut, and for Dr. Voodoo, I kind of expected them to have some sort of a better support aspect for PvE, but he's still very good for PvP. So yeah, regardless, that was all for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please, if you do, make sure to like and subscribe, and let me know down below in the comments as to if you're excited for today's video. Other than that, I'm going to go ahead and see you all in the very next video. Goodbye.